Kia ora from Aotearoa, and welcome to this place in cyberspace where guardians gather every new and full moon to share their gifts, guidance, their experience, and their wisdom. And we invite you to always discern, take what resonates, and let the rest go. And it's a wonderful space where we can come together in community to share keys and codes that help us unlock and open each other's systems simply by sharing circle together, much of which is not through the spoken word, but comes through the synergy, the harmonic of the unified field. So let us begin by aligning the bodies together. Physical, mental, and emotional bodies with all-pervading soul or higher self and monadic galactic self. Activating the Earth Star 1 foot, half a meter beneath the feet and connecting through the divergent meridians of the planetary body. Rios de luz, light, agua, water, fuego, fire, and oro, gold, crystal, and mineral kingdom. And inviting those primordial elements up through our pillars to cleanse, clear, and purify. Rejuvenate, regenerate, recalibrate, and reorientate. At this time of bifurication of realities, we are being reorientated in our awareness, course correcting our earth walk. All the way up to the soul star, 1 foot, half a meter above the head, activating our soul star and connecting to our celestial nature and inviting that down to mix and mingle into our terrestrial bodies. Surrendering through the core of Source and the heart of Gaia where the new true earth architecture emerges. Core of Source in our own heart spaces. Core of Source in the heart of the sun, the great central suns. In the heart of the moon and in the heart of Gaia, our ancient moon, part of which is embedded in the African continent, as we activate our solar and lunar discs. In harmonic with those on that are active in the planetary body. And surrendering through the core of Source in the galactic center into Homo Universalis, our ancient future selves. Wherever that's located within your system right now, be it through the umbilicus or the third eye, our gateway to God, and the all-seeing and the all-knowing. That part of us that resides outside of time. Inhaling, exhaling the sound as we strengthen and fortify our pillar and Inhaling, exhaling the sound as we strengthen, fortify our pillar, honoring our place on the planet where we stand today, as the tuis sing outside my window, honoring the guardians in the seen and the unseen realms. Inhaling, exhaling with sound as we connect through and around the planetary body. As I hand you over to Casey, maintaining that connection, that harmonic.
Thank you, everyone. We're going to stay in this expanded field together as we expand out just another layer, allowing our consciousness to meet the edges of where we are comfortable and asking it to go just beyond that, understanding that we are capable of this in every now moment, reaching our comfort edges and going just a bit further, allowing ourselves to experience growth on all levels and stepping into the experience of the unknown in a way that feels safe and we are held and supported at all times. We're expanding out to the universal fields at this time, allowing those data waves to come in as an expression of light and sound. We can experience through our physical system, we can experience through our light body system, we can experience through the information and knowledge that comes through the higher self, the soul level self that we are connected to at all times. It is remembering this connection is always available that is important at this time. We're stepping into a certain alignment in the cosmic space, welcoming that consciousness into the field as the sun begins to realign with the galactic center. There is an upgrade, an advancement, a turning on of our electrical bodies that we are invited to jump into and explore. An expansion of the heart space of the cosmic field, an expansion of the galactic center heart. And we reverberate it through our physical systems. This is a different feeling than we are accustomed to. It's outside of the human emotional realm. It is in the void space that we find this, the stillness, the resetting, the connection to all that there is. It's in the expanded heart space that we are paying attention to at this time. This is the available realignment that is happening through the cosmic space, allowing our orientation to shift and change as it needs to, allowing us to flow more gracefully as we realign our physical bodies with our cosmic bodies. And there is a shift or an adjustment that we will be looking at today in regards to the Earth's magnetic fields. There's information that will be brought through the cetacean nation, through the dolphin tribes, that is important that we address in the circle today. That's why we are all here. And it is through this expanded heart space that this information can be felt all the way through our physical system. And this is how we can assist Gaia at this time. Understanding that we are all part of the bigger picture, and each circle that gathers, that there is an amplified field that we are encouraged to step into because there is greater work that is being asked of us at this time. And it is through this connection field that things can take place on a greater scale. Because we are all connected to Gaia at different places on the earth. So we are directly connected to her and supporting her as the shifts and changes that she steps into as she reclaims her role as galactic Gaia. We will be staying in this expanded field as we enter the circle for sharing at this time. We encourage you to anchor into this space. It is through this expanded field that we are learning to walk between both worlds. As the bird tribes echo our information and our energy, we welcome you back into the circle. When you are ready, please open your eyes and we will continue.
Thank you, Casey, and thank you everybody who's joining us today in person. and through the recording. It's been a very powerful passage through the 1111 passage with these major solar flares, CMEs, bombarding our Earth. And I was looking at statistics just yesterday, and it's like it reached a level of radiation that last was recorded at such extreme levels 20 years ago. So it was a really intense influx of light, like codes, photonic light plasma, into our planetary bodies, into our bodies. And it's really interesting how that influx of light is affecting people in different ways, but it's definitely accelerating the rate of purification, no matter where we are on our journey home to self and recalibration into our greater architecture. So there's a lot of purification happening. There's a lot of people that are feeling it as static in their system, as arrhythmia, as heart palpitations. So it's a really important time to slow down, be in our bodies, and be very present and connected to the planetary body, because we're going through this together. And with that connection to our bodies and the planetary body, we don't get left behind, and it supports the integration of the greater amounts of plasma, accompanied by diet, gentle exercise, healthy nutrition, and really high quality water. And during this time, I've noticed myself that my body's calling for a lot more salt in the water, whether that's Celtic sea salt or shilajit, but extra salts and extra minerals during this time of transformation. So really, it's an important time to listen deeply to our bodies, take it easy, and spend as much time as possible in our earth waters. Yesterday evening, I went for a swim out in the ocean, and I should have actually done it a few days ago as well as yesterday, but I just hadn't because I was busy and it was raining and the tides weren't, they were low when I wanted to swim at my doorstep. So it just hadn't happened. And I'm like, I need to make the extra effort to take my body into the ocean during this time. It's really important. And the other thing that's emerging is, with what we spoke into last week, the reorientation, and there's a relocation happening. There's a lot of people who have been guardians in certain points on the planet that are being called now into their next posting, into their next position. And as we're feeling into that, we spoke about going through the birth canal of the September equinox, the next one through the Samhain Beltane, Dios de los Muertos, All Souls Day. There was another one. We've had this big influx of light through the 1111 portal, and we're literally 1 month away between December solstice, which is the next big birth canal process. And it feels like it's taking us through, by March equinox, it feels like there's going to be a lot of, between December solstice and March equinox, a lot of people relocating their position on the planetary body for what's birthing through Easter. So to have that in mind and really listen deeply to the wisdom of your own soul at this time on where you are being called to be. It's important, and you matter. So just pausing there, and on that note, I'm wondering if anybody else has any questions or contributions to the field today.
That relocation, Leanne, feels like partly it has to do with some of the upgraded codes that each one of us carries. And part of it has to do with the energetic shifting of certain locations on the planet. Some of these energetic hubs are moving locations.
Indeed, and that reminds me, a few nights ago, I was awake most of the night. There was a lot of clearing through all continents again. clearing, clearing, clearing. And then after that, there was a reopening of a lot of inner earth and galactic gateways simultaneously, including, even on this land where I'm blessed to be called home right now. There were many opening there, and we were shown in the six that opened here that the guardians for each specific gateway would be called to this land by March time, if not before, March 2026. So it's quite an exciting time, The time of the Great Awakening is upon us, the prophesied time of awakening, and this time of relocation for what many of us have been called to walk the earth at this time. So it's very special to be here now. Anyone else have anything more they'd like to contribute or ask into the field?
Yeah, I will share. Where I am at the moment is in Christchurch, and I was here in July, and I was animal sitting for a friend, and the mountain called me to come and do some energy work, and I was like, okay, but I need to be a bit closer. So I just put that out there, and then 3 weeks later, I run into a friend, and I felt her come into my field, and I didn't contact her, but we met each other and we talked. And she said that she needed a house sitter. She was going to Germany for a sick mum, so she went and did that. And I come here, which is right next door to where this mountain is. It's Castle Hill in the Port Hills, and it's on like a peak, like a pyramid. And so while I've been here, I've been asking, do I go? And I hadn't felt to. And the sit had been a lot longer than what originally said. So it went from 4 weeks to longer. And then the last few conversations was she wouldn't be coming back this year. So I had plenty of time to go and I was tuning in. And then on Monday, I got to go. And I went up there and I did some energy work and also got called to another area where I did a bit more. And then I came back and then that night I got a message from her saying that they're coming back next week. So it felt like, yeah, I'm complete here. I just felt like what I was here for is done and it's time to move on. And yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the next place is. I know I'm going to go and see my mum and that'll be awesome because Casey did a womb healing with me on 999 and this will be the first time I come and stay with my mum since then. So it feels like there's something in there as well for me. And then there is something open, but I don't feel pulled anywhere. So I'm curious to see what shows up next.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Jacob. And for those who are unfamiliar with Castle Hill, it's also referred to as Tikohanga. Dalai Lama refers to it as the navel of the universe and others as the birthplace of the gods. And it's a really extraordinary site in the heart of Te Waipunamu, the South Island, about an hour and a half inland from Christchurch. Yeah, very special place to be. Thank you.
And also I need to clarify if I did say Castle Hill, I was meaning Castle Rock, which is in the Port Hills just behind me. I've been to Castle Hill many times as well, but yeah, it was Castle Rock, which is like a pyramid, just in the Port Hills.
Thank you. That's interesting. If Castle Rock and Castle Hill, Tikohanga, wanted to be mentioned today, because one of the titles I was given for today was the tectonic plates on the Pacific Ring of Fire and Ice. And I'm not really sure what that was given to us for, but know that it's an exploration for us to make today.
Some of our volcanoes that are on the Ring of Fire, some of them are switching on and some of them are switching off at this time. The ones that are switching on or turning on their galactic levels, just as we are. And those are the ones that are starting to become more active, and their codes are being shared out among the rest of them. There seems to be an adjustment that needs to be had with the tectonic plates in order to allow more fluidity for the codes to be spread out among the volcanoes. And this kind of ties back to when the volcanoes were gridded together. Like my soul memory I have of that. The old grid ties them into place because during the time of the fall, we didn't want them to lose their connection. So the locking down of that old grid kind of keeps them stuck and doesn't allow for their frequency, their movement, their adjustments to be done in a fluid state. And it's almost that reactionary volcanic eruption that we're seeing, like they're using an old system rather than the new system. And it's tied into the locking of the plates.
And what needs to be unlocked. It's interesting because I've had this conversation a couple times already this week. Many refer to the grids, the earth grids, and yet the way I perceive the new earth is not a grid system at all. It's more of a firmament that's very light and very fluid, and that it interacts from people and places according to frequency. It's not set like a grid system. It's very fluid, very light, very interactive, and very changeable.
It's more like a plasma state that we would experience.
Yeah. And it feels like that's what we're also evolving into, that more fluid space, that more plasma state, which is kind of exciting. And that reminds me, actually, just last night, I had another busy night, and just doing mainly personal and planetary clearing. And then in the process, and I was very lucid at this stage, half awake, half asleep, wondering what was going on. And then I realized, instead of, if I feel something, I'll often ask, is this personal? Is it planetary? But as I was working with this, what was coming online was both simultaneously personal and planetary. And it was like it was a 12-pointed star coming back online within my personal body, but with also in the planetary body, a dodecagram, which is really interesting. I haven't even stopped to unpack it or try and understand it yet, but that's what I was experiencing in the wee hours of this morning on this new moon in Scorpio. And that wanted to be shared here today.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I'm going to see how it plays into this. But one, as we're talking about volcanoes, one specific volcano that's getting attention right now is one in Indonesia, Mount Sumeru, right? It's explosive at this time in kind of a reactionary way. And so there's like an adjustment that needs to be had over in that location in Indonesia. And it ties into the Sunda plate, which is extremely like volatile.
When we did that work, we were unlocking the tectonic plates around the Pacific Ring of Fire. It's like that one hasn't been unlocked. It's still locked and it's wanting to be released. So is there anything special we need to do? There has to be I see, there's a clearing that needs to be made so it can unlock it. So should we just come into our pillars and share our consciousness on this plate, the Sunda plate? And 1, 2, 3, 4. Universal Federation, please. second dual carriageway. Okay, so that's cleared the interference that was overlaying it, and now that plate should be able to unlock like the rest.
There's something else. There's Indonesia is interesting because it has like a mirrored location with Papua New Guinea. They have a lot of things in common. Indonesia is known for like 17,000 islands all conglomed into one, and Papua New Guinea down by Australia is also one of the birthplaces where the islands started forming. So it's connected to all those little islands around it, and each one of them are known to have like 700 or 800 languages that are spoken in those regions. Like it's a locational place where there was separation in language, and almost like that same image of like the island splitting out. There's like a separation piece that happened in both locations.
So what it's calling for is not an overwrite or a rewrite, it's just a return to source. That the languages may reconnect from their roots. Because the beauty with so many indigenous languages is when pronounced correctly with tone and frequency, it can mean many things, be it here or dimensionally. But the right tone and frequency with the language is an extraordinary gift to be around, for it reconnects us to the source of creation. That feels like it's reconnected, but now I'm feeling like a pressure in the heart space, which is Papua New Guinea. Yeah. So that just needs a little bit of support. If we take our consciousness over to PNG. PNG, Papua New Guinea, another place on the planet that's been raped, plundered, and pillaged through mining.
And also holds some of the origin codes for humans, just like Africa does.
Yeah.
And Australia.
I was taken out there by a friend once when I was staying up in northern Queensland in Cairns, ended up in PNG for a week. But coming out of there now, there's another piece, and it's somehow connected with the whales and coming down into Harvey Bay. Harvey Bay is an extraordinary natural sand crystalline bowl where the humpbacks, when they come up out of Antarctica in the Antarctic winter time, usually around May time, they come up often along the coast of Australia and into the Pacific to give birth to their babies. And then many of them bring them back through Harvey Bay to teach them where they need to know in this sheltered environment before taking them back down into the ice. And I've been very fortunate to crew on sort of 5 times on a whale song experiential journeys, where we put hydrophones in the water and get to make music with the whales. And such a gift to be in proximity of their presence and their song for such a period of time, for that whole journey while we're out there. And you know, it was just the other day I reminded of one experience when we're talking about relocating and feeling the call. I was the galley goddess, so my job was cook. I was busy cleaning up after a meal, and all of a sudden I had this massive amount of urgency. We have to go out to the whales now. And literally, I never found myself quite so asserting myself, but everyone, it's like, clean up, pack up, we're going sailing. And literally, you know, within 20 minutes, we were off out into the ocean. And when way out there, we had a small pod of about maybe 5 big humpbacks come up behind the catamaran. And it's like, I've got to get in. So wetsuit on, rope out, and they were literally right at the base, at the back of the catamaran. And another brother, what some of you may know, Will, wanted to get in with me. And every time he got in, they went away. And we'd get out again, and they'd come back again, and we got in again. And I ended up saying, Will, can I just get in by myself this time? And he was like, okay. And so he did. And he went up the front of the boat and watched them, had a brilliant time. And I got in, and I literally had 2 big whales come up beside me on each side and one underneath. And I don't remember what happened or how long I was there for. But to be in their oceanic consciousness, completely wrapped in it for a period of time, it was life-changing and speechless. I didn't have words. I can remember just going sitting quietly on the deck after that. What just happened? And that wanted to be shared with you today. Feeling the whales very present today.
The whales hold our codes and keys for that expanded heart space, that cosmic heart space that we're moving into.
I can share. Yeah, just talking about fire and ice, or fire and water. Like, I feel like that I've had a fascination with the alchemy of those 2 elements for quite some time. And my way of understanding is always through the voice. And yeah, just to feel for the balance of the 2 of them together and how they weave together and harmonize, and too much of one creates this distortion, you could say, or chaos. And I was thinking, because the other day when I did a session with someone who has been to the Antarctic, and anyway, when I was feeling her voice, I felt like she had a lot of water, but then I invited her actually to bring some fire into her voice. And I actually felt like then it felt like her voice was getting a little bit stuck or drowning in something, and it felt like then her voice could move and had more movement. So it's something that I think about a lot in the interweaving of the 2, and what happens when there is distortion or disharmony. So I was also just thinking about the whales, how, in my understanding, they always go to warm or more fire areas, you could say, to give birth, and they don't eat in that time, and then they go back to the Antarctic, to the ice or to the water to feed and once their babies are ready to go there. So I was thinking about, oh, that's an interesting thing, isn't it? Like that play again between the heat and the cold. But yeah, I was just really feeling for that with the voice, and how the expansion that happens when those two elements meet each other, like really meet each other in harmony, and the expansion that can happen when they can really play and weave together. Yeah.
There's a felt.
Sorry, were you? Oh, did you? I think you broke up, Leanne.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting one. There's a felt sense of aliveness when the elements of fire and water come together.
I just,
Hang on, Talia, you just muted yourself.
yeah, I was just feeling like what happens when they're not in harmony with each other, and like, I don't know, you could say, for instance, that perhaps Egypt has too much water, too much fire currently, and yeah, and like I can't think of another land, but maybe a land that has too much water, and what happens when there isn't that weaving of the two. Because I suppose you could say it's a kind of a dance between the masculine and feminine as well, in a way, and the unity of the two of them weaving together. And how we can often get polarized or stuck in one, and what happens when we do. Yeah.
And there's something interesting that I just tapped into as you guys were speaking about the whales and how they're tied into the magnetizational field of the earth that allows them to have that compass to navigate their swimming paths. And when the magnetization is lessened, like in the state that we're in currently, because of the solar maximum influx, it's something about their navigational fields that gets disrupted. And that's sometimes why we see some of the beaching that happens, the breaching of the whales. Like they lose a part of themselves. And I'm wondering if there's something that we can do to assist the whale tribes at this time for more ease and flow, or if there's something that we can do to adjust the fields of the earth. I'm just trying to look at both pictures.
So when you say that, what comes to mind is the bees.
Mm-hmm.
Because the honeybee location devices, its GPS is oriented around sun, solar. It's a solar GPS. And while electromagnetics fluctuate, the sun still rises and sets in its regular rhythms, in its regular spaces throughout our 12-month cycle.
We know also the sun is going through a magnetic change at this time, a structural change and a magnetic change.
We're using the sun alone, then the pathways their maps would remain the same, but then the pathways are also moving at this time. There are some pathways that are quite fixed and do stay, but there are pathways that are fluid and relocate or graduate. across time. And if I asked, did whales once have a solar GPS system? They did. And then it takes me back to when we were taken to the site of an ancient whale temple where Marie lives in Waimate North, up here in Te Tai Tokerau. And this was years ago, maybe 12 years ago. And there was a small group of maybe 5 or 6 of us there, and we got called to go outside and stand in a circle at the site of this ancient whale temple as this ancient whale temple was reactivated. And even the great big stones from that temple still remain, many of them on the land. And I remember Marie doing a sketch of it. But during that time, when we stood in circle, I can remember being shown how the whales came to the land and went back to the ocean, and came to the land and went back to the ocean. And there'd been 5 cycles of the whales coming to the land and going back to the ocean. And this is the time when the whales are coming back to the land. So I'm feeling that maybe the GPS system is wanting to be recalibrated to a solar GPS system at this time, at this turning over of time.
And it's bigger than the whale, so it goes for us as well.
To reorientate our GPS to solar logos, to soul at this time, which is what's happening organically during this big transition. So yes. May soul become the navigator. May our solar selves, our soul, our sun, become the navigator that will resync us with the source of creation.
Yeah, which makes me think about the word freeze, and that it has free in it, and that as we're, yeah, that sense of thawing, when you're talking about solar. So like bringing the fire to the freeze or to the ice, that some part of air systems as well are thawing. And yeah, there's more a sense of freedom. Like I was thinking this morning, actually, as I was thinking about the whales before this call, and I felt a lot of emotion come up, and then I was like, okay, that's emotion. But actually, if I could just let myself expand, which maybe you could say is bringing a little bit more fire and air, and I just really felt myself expand into the capacity of being the whale or the whale consciousness, the emotion was not so present, that I could just let myself expand to meet the consciousness of the whale. Yeah, and I didn't have to collapse in the kind of waters, so to speak. But I could let myself have that, but also expand into something else. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Is there any other questions or contributions?
Hi, Leanne. Hey, I'm surprised, but it seems that I want to ask you to just fill in if there's something for the collective where I stay in Stockholm in Europe, it's so dense at the moment. And 2 weeks ago, I also went to England, and I found myself to be in a taxi, just standing still outside of Big Ben when it was ringing 3 o'clock, and it was something about clock time and something. It had recently been restored. Don't know if that place has anything to be any clearing to do there, and then also question about Stonehenge. I ended up there too. And that place, I remember that Olga picked up that place has something to do where I stay here on this island outside of Stockholm. I don't know. Is there something to be cleared that is of any interest that you pick up?
I feel one of the biggest reconfigurations that have happened since we were in Egypt around September equinox time is the dissolution of the Greenwich Mean Time as true time, so that we can return and restore ourselves to organic time and organic timelines.
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest things that have unfolded around time. And bringing and restoring ourselves to organic time. And this is why it's so important to have a morning practice to sync ourselves with nature, with the source of creation. And not just orientate from there, but also operate from there.
Yeah.
And to be with whatever season we are with at this time, summer in the south, winter in the north.
Yeah, it's the first day of snow here, and it's also. But is there something, because it's so dense here and so much going on, like in the power struggles and something. Where I'm staying, it's where close to the royal castle and everything, and the monarchy is falling apart. Is there like something that has any interest, or is it just like it's taking care of itself, I suppose?
Lisa, you're going to love this because you have such a brilliant mind. But all I'm getting is let go of the stories.
Yes.
Get out of your mind.
That
Come
would
home to
be
your body and connect with the earth and be present in this moment.
Yeah.
And it's a message for all of us, including myself. What we focus on, we're creating. What we focus on, we are feeding consciousness to, we're feeding energies to. So we really must master the mind and choose what we're creating in this world. It's choice point for all of us, because what we choose is what we will live.
Yeah.
And with so much out there right now, you really want to be in here.
Yeah. It seems that it's also reflected in the physical body with different kinds of symptoms, and that it's I can relate with what you're saying, and
now because of the vibrational frequency, it's online real time. If you want to feed consciousness to what you don't want, then you're going to create more of it. If we feed consciousness to the world we want to live in, the world we want to walk on, and this is why choosing the environment which we choose to reside is really important. I live in the most extraordinary energy center I think I've ever lived in. Since I left the wilderness of Africa, when I was completely surrounded by wildlife. And it's a blessing, and that's what supports me. So my mind's not busy worrying about anything. I'm just listening to the Tui sing.
Yeah, but are we really choosing, or like who's choosing?
And this is why it's really important that we take responsibility as creators of our reality. consciously, unconsciously. And if we're creating a reality that we really don't subscribe to, then we probably need to excavate our unconscious to see what is informing our reality that we don't resonate with.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, it's like trusting in the wisdom of the soul where it leads us on this earth.
Yeah. Trusting. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you
For the reminder.
Maybe I can share some encouragement because I just, relocated to New Zealand, and Leon was a big part of it. And I spent 27 years in Singapore, so lots of sun. Maybe that's why I need a balance. And I tried to convince myself for years that I can't move to New Zealand, but well, now I'm here at least for 6 months, and then I will see what happens. But so it's just our mind, I guess, who tries to convince us that we can't do things. And yeah, I rented out my place for 6 months. It's really, really super scary, but here I am, and I agree with the environment. I had sleepless nights in Singapore for many years because it's super busy. 30-story building, neighbors runs in the night, right and left, they quarrel, and the environment has a super, super big impact on where we are. And yeah, I'm just really happy to be here, and let's see what happens. But I hope maybe I can be of encouragement to others for this. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Claudia. Anybody else have any contributions before we come to closure today?
Okay, I can sing a little bit. I think I just bring the intention of fire and ice coming into unity with each other. Yeah, so maybe we could all hold that intention. Te amo ka moe ia moe. O na ia we a my ha we a. Oh
Thank you for your beautiful gift of song, Talia. Didn't want to speak, it was too beautiful just to sit in I'm just trying to find the word for it. In the field of creation that is generated through your song. Thank you. As we all return fully intact onto the earth plane, I'd love to hand you over to Casey for closure.
Thank you, Talia. There's a dispersing of codes that happens after you sing. So it's beautiful to have that integration time. And also speaking into that expanded state you were speaking of, it's when we step out of our humanness and step into the expanded state that our emotional state gets dimmed down and we can handle anything, right? And we're expressing our bigger selves, our cosmic selves. And with that reminder, we will just collectively connect once again for a minute in circle, allowing the codes to fully drop in and allowing the field to gently dissolve as we step back into our individuated pillars, stepping back into our individual connection to Gaia, anchoring again to her, allowing our feet to feel rooted, anchored, fully sustained, fully supported, filling into our human systems a little bit more, adding some gentle movement to our bodies, wiggling our fingers, our toes, breathing deeply into ourselves. And when you are ready, coming all the way back in by opening your eyes.
Thank you, Casey. Thank you once again for everybody who was weaving with us today and will weave with us from the replay. And a gentle reminder, if you are needing support to make more space to land your lightship at this incredible time and passage we are passing through, then know that everyone you meet here on this circle are all practitioners and facilitators in their own right and are here to support your journey. Much love, everyone. Aroha nui from Aotearoa. Blessings on this new moon in Scorpio. And we will see you on the full moon when Siren hopes to join us and weave with us their walk through Mexico pyramids recently. Much love and see you again soon.